Hey guys, it's Miss Schulman here, and Harley and Charlie. Obviously, they're living the life and have to be comfortable. Anyway, tonight we are going to talk about slope and rate of change. So let's start with rate of change. A rate of change is a ratio, comparing two values, of the amount of change in the dependent variable, or your output, or your y, to the amount of change in the independent variable, or your input, or your x. So a lot of times you will see it written as output divided by input, which equals the change. That triangle means change. Change in your y over your change in your x. So let's see what exactly this means. All right. So I want to find my rate of change. Let's just say that we are driving to, we'll be driving to Virginia. Why not? To find my rate of change, I need to do my output divided by my input. So my output, my distance, my input is my time. Distance divided by time will give me my rate of change. So let's just pick. A lot of times, guys, it's easiest if you start at the bottom of your graph. So at 80 miles, I've been driving for 2 hours. So my rate of change is just 40 miles per 1 hour. Now let's see if this is constant. Constant means that my rate of change is going to be the same no matter which point I choose to use. So let's do 240. 240 miles in 6 hours is once again 40 miles per 1 hour. So that graph is constant. Let's take a look at this one. This is your savings account. So this is a perfect example of your dependent and your independent. Your dependent variable is your balance. Your savings account will not have a balance if you don't put in deposits. So your balance depends on your deposits. Balance divided by deposits will give me my rate of change. So I have $150 per 1 deposit. That right there is done. Let's try another one. I could do $250 per 2 deposit, and that would mean my rate of change would be $125 per 1 deposit. These are different. That just means that my graph is not constant. My rate of change or changes will be different for this whole graph. And that's okay for right now, guys, because I just want you to focus on being able to find your rate of change. Rate of change is slope, or slope is rate of change. You guys have heard slope before when you think about skiing or snowboarding, walking up a hill, walking on flat land. Everything out in that world has slopes, mountains, hills. How steep they are, that is slope. Just remember throughout this whole thing that rate of change is the same thing as slope. So let's talk about slope. A lot of times you will hear me say slope is rise over run. Remember, your up and down on your graph is your y, and your left to right is your x. Rise over run, which is really just your y over your x, like we said before. We also have a formula that's y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. This is called your slope formula. And just as a heads up, they use the variable m for slope. Not 100% sure why, but if you can tell me tomorrow, that'll be 2 points extra credit on your next quiz. Why do we use m for slope? So let's see these things in action here. All right, when we have a nice, simple graph like this one, it's really easy to use rise over run. So I'm going to use this point there, and I'm going to say, well, my rise, I went up, I'm sorry guys, I'm going to go up here. My rise, I went from 3 up to 6, which is a positive 3. And my run, I went from 4 over to 8, which is a positive 4. So my rise was a positive 3, my run was a positive 4. So my slope equals 3/4. Done. Remember, 3/4 is telling me that it's going to be 3 gallons for every 4 minutes. And now let's use our slope formula. That was the y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. I'm going to use these 2 points because they made them nice and neat for me. So I have the points go over 4 up 3 and go over 8 up 6. Remember, x then y, x then y. Now, I need a y2 and a y1. So I'm just going to say this is going to be my x1, y1, x2, y2. Your x2 and your y2 have to be together. All right? So now we're just going to fill in that formula. I'm going to do my y2, which is my 6, minus my y1, which is my 3, over my x2, which is my 8, minus my x1, which is my 4. So I really have 3 over 4 again, which we also got doing rise over run. Let's try another one. So I could do rise over run if I wanted to, but be careful, guys. I want you to make sure that when you choose points to start your rise over run, that they are evenly crossing the lines. Like this one is right in the middle and that guy is right in the middle. You want it to be evenly crossing, not like halfway through, like down here. You don't want that. So this one is, my rise is going from 0 to 2, so that's a positive 2. And then it's going from 0 to negative 1. That means I went a minus 1. You're heading towards the negatives, so it's going to be a negative 1. So that's going to equal 2 over negative 1, or just a negative 2. Rise over run. So my slope right now is a negative 2. I could also use 2 points. I'm going to use that guy. And then I'm also going to use that guy. All right, let's see. And I chose these for a specific reason. That point is over negative 1 up 2. This purple point is over a positive 1 down a negative 2. All right. So I always recommend labeling your points. I have x1, y1, x2, y2. And I'm going to say my y2, negative 2 minus 2 over 1 minus a negative 1. It's always going to be that minus. So if you have a negative, you're going to have to change that to a positive. Negative 2 minus negative 2 is a negative 4. 1 minus a negative 1 is a positive 2, and that reduces down to a negative 2. I have one more thing I want to show you, and I promise I'm going to make this quick so you guys can move on with your nights. Tables. X is always on top, Y is always on bottom. Or if you do it this way, X is always to the left, Y is always to the right. X comes before Y. So if I wanted to find the rate of change in this table, I'm just going to choose 2 points. I'm going to choose this one and this one. So that point is 238. My second one is 476. I'm going to label X1, Y1, X2, Y2. And I'm going to fill in for my formula. So that's going to be 76 minus 38 over 4 minus 2. 76 minus 38, I believe, is going to give me 38 again. Yes. That's 38 divided by 2. Which is going to give me, let's see, 19. So this means that I can buy one shirt for $19. Alright guys, I know this one was kind of long. I hope that I kind of drilled that slope formula into your brains a little bit. Y2 minus Y1 over X2 minus X1. So I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a good night.